Hello, America. This is Bob Smith, McKinney, Texas, with Keller Williams again. Want to bring you to one of the houses that we sold some years back in 2020, I believe it was. Got some great history. Built in 1888. It's one of the older homes on Church Street. I think there's probably 5 homes on this block of the period about 1888. We've got sort of a combination of a prairie style home and a Craftsman style home based on the time it was built. Things are unique basically the columns that you see here are on the Craftsman and prairie style homes are the size of the windows, which are in these cases about 6, almost 8 feet tall. So these were common in those days because we didn't have air conditioning, so had to open up the top and the bottom to get some air through so we'll have a cool days on hot days. That makes sense? Yeah. Anyway, let's go talk to David and Barbara Kelly, who own this home. They've done a lot of restoration. I think it'd be fun to see what they've done, and today they're going to show us what they've done and tell us a little about their experiences in McKinney and the experiences of doing the restoration, which is a lot of work. Well, this is David and this is Barbara.
Nice to see you. Hello.
And they're good enough to let us come in and see the home and some of the things that they've done to it. And we're inside the home that David and Barbara have rebuilt, essentially. And they did some marvelous things. And what I want to do, I would like for David, would you tell us what y'all did to this home that made it yours?
Yeah, sure. So this house is a 1917 Craftsman 4-square, which means there's 4 rooms down and 4 rooms up. There's obviously been a lot of kind of modification of those rooms, but so the house was built in 1917. When we bought the house, every square inch of the floor was covered in a thick pile carpet. And so we took that carpet out and we almost everywhere found the original hardwood floors. So we were able to sand and expose the hardwood floors. Every square inch of drywall or a wall was covered in this thin wood paneling. We took that down. In some places we exposed the shiplap, and then in other places we put up drywall. And then every square inch of ceiling was covered in acoustic ceiling tile. And so we took all of that off, and unfortunately we weren't able to salvage the original shiplap ceilings. So where we have exposed wood ceilings, that is new wood. In this room, we covered the existing fireplace, which had sunken, with this fireplace. So the existing one is still under there in the same shape, but we had to stabilize it and secure it by running a steel flue or steel cylinder up the chimney, and then built this fireplace over it. And when we were buying the brick at a salvage yard in Dallas, I found this slab of walnut, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but I bought it. And I found a carpenter in town who turned it into this mantle, and it's like one of the things we really love in this room. So that's the living room, and then when we come into the dining room, this is largely how it was, except for that wall there. This was closed to that room, and when we pulled the walls down, when we pulled the paneling down, we found that opening there, and we kept it because it really improved the flow of the house really well, and creates a nice flow down here. Otherwise, in terms of like the structure, the ceiling here, that was here. We made this shelf a little bit smaller, but essentially the shape of the room is the same. And then that brings us to the kitchen. So in the kitchen, we completely gutted it, kind of. So first of all, the island here there was an island in the middle of the kitchen. It was oriented the other way, horizontally, I guess. And it was kind of a it had a stove in it. The floors were linoleum, and we pulled all of that out. much of the cabinets were here. So that cabinet over there was behind you where you're standing, and we just moved it. In that corner where the bar is, there was a pantry, and we pulled the pantry out and we built all of those cabinets there and put the refrigerator there. But otherwise, like, the cabinets were here and we just repainted them and redoored them. And then this island is end grain alder. It's alder wood.
This is a composite of many pieces of wood glued together and
That's
then
right.
sanded down. That's a lot of work.
Yeah. So the way they make this is like they take really long strips of wood, glue them all together into like a huge block, and then they slice off pieces like a cake, and we get the end. This obviously was not here. This up here is cedar in the middle, and then actually, little secret, the beams are foam. They're fake.
Are they?
Yeah.
They look like the real deal.
They do look like the real
They don't
deal.
have the weight to it, so they can
No, they
better.
like each of these 10-foot sections weighs like 2 or 3 pounds.
Master bedroom.
Yeah, this was the master bedroom. So there was a closet there, and that door was closed, and then that was the door to the bedroom. The bathroom was redone.
Where'd you find a tile?
Floor and decor.
Okay.
But this is one of our favorite shiplap walls in the house. Like those boards there are just really impressive.
So you want to go upstairs?
Yeah, you bet you.
So this is one of our favorite rooms as well. This is probably originally a sun porch, but it was at some point enclosed to become the sunroom and the study that we use it now. But probably was originally screened in along these walls. So the clawfoot tub was here, and we kept it. Going into the master suite is the only place where we moved walls. So this door was originally here, and we pushed it out because where that door is now was a door to another bedroom. And so we closed that door. There was like this Jack and Jill closet here, and we took that out and then turned that bedroom into the master bath, which is our dream bathroom.
Incredible.
So Barbara always wanted to have a closet that she could fit all of her clothes in. I wanted to have a very large shower with a big rainfall shower head. So we have a 2 foot by 2 foot square shower head. That's kind of like a dark cave. And then we built a water closet as well.
Low upstairs. So this one we didn't change at all, but the upstairs railing, we kept the top.
The
but
banister.
We kept the banister, but we had to get longer
Posts.
spindles, whatever you would call
Spindles,
these.
yeah.
And those actually I think were salvaged from
Flour mill, I think.
Yeah, he got them from somewhere local. So they're old, but so we did raise it about 6 or 8 inches. They were shorter in 1917.
Well,
So you know that these spindles are old and to period because they're longleaf pine, which is extinct, and so they were, I think, as Barbara said accurately, salvaged from the flour mill, and same carpenter who built the
put
the
new
mantle
life
did
to
that.
it. One of the things that I always like to ask people who moved into McKinney, you're from McKinney, so you've been here a long time, so I don't really have to ask you why you came back home,
Yeah.
but what brought you to the Historic District? What made you want to stay in the Historic District?
Yeah. So I did grow up in McKinney. I grew up in the Historic District. I grew up on Tucker Street. And growing up here was special and important to me. And I loved it. And I moved after college to Washington, D.C. and met my wife there. And we lived there for 10 years. I lived there for 10 years. And wanted to come back to McKinney. And so when we did, we came back with the intent or the idea that we were going to live in the historic district. I grew up in an historic home. I wanted to own one, but we were purposeful about being sure that owning a historic home was for us and that living on this side of town was for us. Coming back to McKinney was a no-brainer, but owning a historic home is a serious commitment, and you have to know what you're doing, and you have to be prepared to spend money annually. And you have to be prepared to do the work, whether you're buying a turnkey one that is ready to go or you're buying one that needs a lot of work like ours, you're still going to do maintenance annually. So we were very purposeful about going to the west side and looking at other homes over there and making sure that we didn't want to live there. And when we did that, we knew that this was the side of town for us. But our first house in the historic district we bought in 2015 was at the corner of Waddle and Virginia. And that was a great house. We loved it. Those two streets are very busy streets. And we knew when we bought that house that it was the only reason we would ever leave that was the busyness of those streets. And we would never have bought it if it had fronted Virginia. We bought it because it fronted Waddle, and that's a lot easier to get onto than Virginia is. And so after the pandemic, we realized exactly how loud it was because it had been quiet for a little while. And that's when we started looking elsewhere. And then we ended up here because we saw this house on the market, and I was at Rotary one day downtown and just talked to my friend at Rotary and said, hey, there's this house. Why don't we, what about showing it to me? He said, let's go after Rotary. And so we did, and we checked it out. And this is maybe the quietest street in the historic district. I don't know, which would probably make it the quietest street in McKinney. I don't know. It's definitely the right spot for us.
Did you have any surprises? Don't pass out.
Like you mean in the renovation?
Yeah, in renovation.
Surprises. So definitely the door that we talked about, like the flow of the downstairs, that was a surprise. The ceiling, we weren't able to salvage the original shiplap because of the way the previous ceiling had been attached. That was, I guess, a disappointing surprise. And then I guess the other biggest surprise is, as we talked about, we thought the house was an 1888 house.
I did too.
Yeah, which is fair. There was a structure built here. There was a house here that was built in 1888. We did the history of the home after we built it, or after we moved in, and it turns out that it's a 1917 house. And so that was a surprise.
Well, you're still one of the foundation anyway, one of the earliest on Church Street.
Yeah. Oh, the house. Yeah, certainly. It's very old. Obviously, 1917 doesn't take anything away from it. It's just not what we expected.
I wasn't around then, so I didn't worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I certainly appreciate y'all allow us to come up here and take some pictures and talk with you and hear some of your thoughts, because I know other people who are thinking about buying an historic district who want to know, what am I getting into?
Yeah.
Is this love that I'm feeling now going to be there tomorrow?
Yeah.
Obviously, you can make it the way you want it.
Yeah, we love our house and we love living in a historic district. We're a 10-minute walk from downtown. You can't ask for better quality of life. I would recommend it to anybody who is eyes wide open about owning an old house.
Well, I think you did a wonderful job here. It's totally open. It flows well, like you mentioned earlier. It's got all the modern updates. That bathroom upstairs, Lord, that's great. I love that.
It's our dream bathroom.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, anyway, thank y'all so much
for
letting
us
come here and